Seeing no public comment, we're gonna jump right into tonight's work session. Tonight, Jim's here to talk about the truck bid. Howdy.
Oh,
Was this tonight?
I know, I looked over it.
well, you see me once in a while. Mike sees me every day.
Yeah, I see you every day.
Well, you're all aware, in fact, we went out to bid. We don't know what the bid price is, I don't think, all right, nobody knows? Okay. All right, we got 3 bids back on the truck. I bid the truck out separate, cab and chassis, and then the equipment. 3 bids back on the truck. The only one that met all the specs was Charlie Boys from Milton, Vermont, at $122,465. The other 2 bids, one was from Clark's International. The motor isn't what we want at all. And then the other one was out of Albany, Kenworth. And there'd be no reason to buy a truck out of Albany. There's no place to get it repaired except for we have to take it back down there, for one thing. I don't like the design of the truck. It's a long hood straight across like this table. And Freightliners and Internationals and Western Stars slope, so when you put your slusher down, you can see it. So I would like to get the Charlie Boys Freightliner. That's exactly what we got the last 2 purchases. And they can repair them if need be, right here on the Quarry Road at the Western Star dealership. It's owned by the same company.
Did the one from Albany meet the specs at all?
It's a little smaller motor, not much.
So, it was more of a box in the front? I mean,
It looked like this, straight across, hood.
so,
Is it a
It's
safety
an over the
issue?
road.
Is it a safety issue? How does it work?
Well, I went and looked at a Peterbilt once up in Champlain. Now, Elmberg has a Peterbilt and they love it, and Chattagay does. Well, they don't have the congested traffic, obviously, that we do. You can't see. It's a long straight out, it's up West Lake and described it. I should have brought a picture, but it's just a long hood. You know, it's not sloped like a Freightliner is. I like the fact that when you put the slusher down, you can see it still. Now, one of those trucks, you can't, it's gone out of your sight. You can see the 2 little markers on the edge, but that's it. So I think the best way for us to go would be with the Freightliner.
Okay.
Plus, seeing we can work.
What
on
was
it.
the difference in price on the 2?
You're looking at, the Freightliner was $122,465. The International was $119,453. And the Kenworth was $118,985.
Okay, I mean, which one are we taking? Which,
The highest one.
the highest one?
The highest one. The other thing
so
on the
the
Kenworth.
difference is, the maximum difference is 3,700.
Yeah.
And the
Yep.
119 is the one from Auburn.
No,
That's the
right here.
International.
It's Clark's, but it was M.A. Jerry's.
And the Kenworth, repair wise, it's,
That and the hood, the design of the truck. The other thing is, he didn't price in the aluminum rims like we requested, so I'm not sure, that's about $1,000, $1,500 difference that should add back on to his.
is who?
Kenworth, out of Albany. In all fairness, he didn't price those out. So, I know he's the lowest bid right here, but he didn't price in what we wanted for him.
There's nothing wrong with, say, going with a higher bid. The only thing, these things ought to be justified, you know, because we have value bidding by local
Yep.
law, and if we can get a letter from you saying it wasn't the low bid, but these are the compensating.
That's the letter that I sent to everybody.
Okay. Okay, I didn't, you can find
You had looked at the, first of all, safety, which you can see, with one.
They're a beautiful bunch.
And the
Kenworth's
fact
nice.
that you can repair them here, cost-wise, that would.
Doesn't make
difference
sense to
over-
go to Albany with the truck.
Over a period of, supposedly we're gonna keep this for 20 years.
20
Over that
years.
period of time, how many times would it go in for repair?
Depends which brand you get. Freightliners, we haven't had any problems with. The Internationals we did. And I know International is changing. I know this particular style they bid on this is gonna change again. They decided to make their own motors a few years ago, 2008 I think it is, and they're not a good motor. They have since put Cummins DEF fuel tanks on them that cools the motor down. The other motors are called hot engines, that's what they call them. I mean, there's a big lawsuit with International on those trucks. Our 2011 has been, well, the fuel pump disintegrated in the darn thing, and we had to change all the lines and the fuel, and it's 20-year mistake.
And that was international?
But they since added that DEF fuel, that's for emissions. And this particular truck is even better for the emissions than what the
I've
other.
got, Mike had given me one letter, this one letter dated 2/29/16. Is there another letter, or is this a letter?
No, that's the letter.
This is a,
Yeah.
We're gonna have to, we need more explanation than this. I mean, this doesn't, this just said, the bid made all the specs, was from Charlie, blah, 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 blah. For this, I think we're gonna need, this is my thought, I don't have a vote in this, I'm just thinking, if you're going to take something that has a higher bid, and something that met the specs, you could say, if we have to bring it down to, say, Albany, wherever, it, very inconvenient, expensive and so forth, there's nothing wrong with that. But the reasons that you're giving us should be in some type of written form.
we can, the other thing is, you'll note that you don't have a resolution, because we wanted to have this
Right.
conversation, so we can certainly make sure that the resolution is inclusive of some of that language as well.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, so,
And I see Jim's point, but in terms of best value, is.
Well, yeah, you can,
Yeah.
yeah, value, you just can't
Yeah.
say better value, you have
Yeah.
to state the reason, I think you do have the reason, but,
The next truck I did out won't be like this. We will piggyback off of another county,
Oh,
Oneida County or
yeah,
Onondaga County. And I think after I checked on some of the prices, you're within $500 or $1,000. It's hardly any difference at all.
Yeah.
And then you don't run into this problem. You end up getting the truck you want and the equipment you want. And that's what the other towns did.
Well, it sounds like it's gonna last longer and it'd be less, maintenance, but even if there was maintenance,
It's here.
it was certainly,
It's on the
the
corridor.
cost of transporting it back and forth would pretty much take care of the difference in price.
Now, the equipment, that was just cab and chassis I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
The equipment I bid separate, there was 3 quotes on that. Tenco equipment was $61,348. If you want, anybody want that. Viking was $58,922. And a third quote of a third party basically is $57,640. I recommend we go with the Viking direct, with the factory, not deal with the third party on the Latham. That means our truck has to go to Latham to have him put the equipment on it, which he has to get through Viking. Which I don't think legally he was supposedly should have bid out, and he's out of his territory, for one thing. It doesn't make sense dealing with somebody else to put your equipment on when he's gotta buy all that equipment from Viking. We've never dealt with a third party before. I don't think it's a good idea to start now. You're only talking $1,200 difference.
yeah, no, like I said, I think it's just good to have something, and
The
maybe we'll
backup.
have in the resolution, just saying, we chose it because of this, that you got a record, and somebody can't say you never awarded the high bidder or the low bidder, you just say, we didn't. and
I
the
could
reason
go item for item, because these are quite detailed bids. I only caught the rims on this one.
Mhm.
You may not, some of these, if I were to go item for item for item,
They might not have met the specs.
they might not have met, well, they don't meet the specs.
Okay.
Well, you already know they don't.
International does not meet the specs.
If
We-
if the other two don't meet it. then-
Asked for a 505 horsepower engine, and they quoted a 475. It's less, it's a smaller motor.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So they just plain didn't meet the specs.
Yeah.
okay.
They
And
said
that's
they
what
did,
you gotta
but
write
they
in. Yep.
Of these three with this equipment, did any of them, was only one met specs?
with the equipment, T&T out of Latham meets it, but he's buying it from Viking.
Third party.
He's also a Bull Rock dealer, which is the box of the truck, but so is the Viking. What you end up doing, you go to Viking, we go to the factory ourselves, and you sit with the smart board, you tell them where you want everything. He doesn't have the capabilities of doing that, and what his comment was to me on the phone was, well, how many places can you put stuff? And we just went to Albany, I talked to a lot of highway superintendents down there, and at Nome and other places, and there's no way they would deal with this particular company when you can deal direct with Viking or Tenco. But Tenco was the higher one on this, they're like $2,000 more, so I recommend we go direct with Viking. You eliminate the middleman. Because if you have a problem with equipment, he's not gonna warranty it. He's gotta go back to Viking to warranty it.
Other questions? Concerns?
But the next easiest way to order a truck, that's all I'm finding out, I'm learning some of this too. Don't split it up like this, this is my third truck I've ordered, but
Yeah.
order a complete unit. It's gonna end up being complete anyways.
But when you did that before, you said they put stuff on that you didn't need.
No, you can pretty much spec it and finding out exactly what you want. You know, I want automatic transmission, I want mirrors and the fenders, you can put down what you want. You're just piggybacking on the state contract.
Okay.
Did I have a total on this? I guess I didn't add the two together, I think it's $183,000. If you go with the 122, 465, and the 58, 922, I think it's, probably put it on here.
It's in a letter that you, someplace.
Okay.
The letter says one
Yeah.
twenty-two.
122, 465,
Yeah.
and then the equipment would be
61,
58, 922,
58.
which gives it, I think it's 183.
No,
181? I didn't do, I did it earlier, and I thought I wrote it on here, but I didn't. Do the math quick. 181?
And change, and
Other questions, concerns?
You want a more detailed,
Yeah,
on
I'll,
the
like I said, I know
equipment,
about
on the
that.
equipment or on the truck?
Just a reason, on the equipment, my point is, when somebody meets the specs and they're a higher bidder, you have to have an explanation as to why. So, in any of these, where if somebody meets the specs and was lower than the person we're gonna award it to, there has to be some reason, there has to be what they call a value reason. And just, you could say, I think you've explained it perfectly here, so.
It's a third party,
yeah, I
it
can,
doesn't make sense to deal with them.
I can work with you to
Yeah.
get.
Okay.
Yeah.
On both?
The
Yeah.
other fact is that those didn't meet the specs, so it wouldn't make any difference. You can-
They didn't price out the, I mean, even at
but it
118.
does, in the sense that you have to, you wanna have a statement as to why bids that
Right.
came in at a lower price are not being accepted.
We'll have some clarifying
Because they had the
language.
wrong engine size.
And this is exactly why, we didn't do a draft resolution, because there was a couple of pieces of moving parts, rather than muddy the waters, and, you know, we wanted to give you folks an opportunity to get some clarification before we put pen to paper, or, you know,
It'll take
computer to
approximately
paper.
60 days to get the cab and chassis.
Yep.
We accept it, and then it'll take probably 90 days to get the equipment put on it. So you're
Right.
talking, even if it took 90 days, you're talking 6 months roughly, before you get this
Right.
unit.
So we have it for the winter.
yeah.
Hopefully, we have it by September.
How long does it take when you piggyback?
I've never done it, so I'm not 100% sure. I'm not positive.
Before we let Jim go, I just want to thank him and Tim for including me in going down to Albany. Last week, we left here, what, about 3:30 a.m.?
Yes, it's 3:30.
It's 3:30, I was trying to forget. We left at 3:30 a.m. Over to go to Beekman Town, and then head down to Albany for basically CHIPS Advocacy Day. It was a great opportunity for us to network with other members, you know, highway superintendents and other elected officials. We had an opportunity to meet with the Assemblywoman. But I just appreciate Jim and Tim. That's not the first time that they've done this on behalf of the town, so it is an
It's
important thing.
important, yeah, exactly.
And what was it
Show
this
of
year?
force.
They said
Record number.
record number of over, I think it was 700 people.
Yep.
So,
They
so,
had guys standing up in the back.
yeah.
That's pretty impressive when you're walking through with orange t-shirts on, all of you.
So I appreciate that our highway folks were up there and that they were able to include me, so, thank you. We'll connect on this tomorrow.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Yep. No other questions for me about anything else before I do go?
Is there anything else you're buying?
Is it gonna snow tonight?
Skates out salt and sure.
Got the wad?
They are, I couldn't believe it, but anyway.
We're doing pretty good on winter,
We're about, give me 1 second, just so you know. On the overtime, the guys right now have an average, and some of them comp, so an average of 60 hours apiece. Normally this time of the year, they'd have 150.
twice that or 2.5 times.
And I didn't have to figure up on the salt and sand, but we're probably 500 loads still to the good that we didn't put down as compared to last year.
So you had some downtime to do some
We
cleaning and
completely restored
reorganization.
an old broom sweeper we have, tore it all apart, painted it, the water tank was leaking on the other one, that got all fixed, which doesn't sound like much, but it's mounted up underneath.
Yeah.
So they gotta lay under the darn thing to lower it down, and a screw had been put through it accidentally, or whatever. And then the 2 sidewalk machines, which are quite old, we had to redo all the floors because they're rough. It's $160,000 for a new one. And these are some we've had for a long time, they're in the 70s. But we painted them and fixed them all back up.
I was very
And
impressed.
we didn't hardly have to use them this year, which is fantastic, so.
Yeah. Having, like what might be considered downtime, Jim utilized every single day they were not out on the roads. I mean, they were out really making sure that the machinery was where it needed to be, and
That
yeah.
needed to be cut.
Yep. So,
You didn't cut all these out next to, do you?
No, they're not gonna take the blame for that. Heritage Heights or on Smithville.
Very good.
all right, thanks, Jim.
Good.
Thank
All
you,
right,
Jim.
yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks a lot.
Yep.
All right, next item, as it relates to the wastewater travel conference to Lake Placid, the information is in there. The water committee is going to be connecting with Scott to do a review of that before next week as well, so that material is there.
And you'll sign it after that?
Yep, I'll sign it after the process is over and done with. I wanted to bring to your attention, I'm trying to roll up my sleeves and get to some things that have not necessarily been addressed for a little while now, and one of them being an RFP for our telecommunications. We're working with an individual right now, but I think it would be wise of us to consider going out for an RFP. It's my understanding that it hasn't been for a while. I couldn't give you a definitive date as far as how long it's been. But I would argue it's been a while. So I may be asking one or more of you to potentially take the lead on this, so don't be surprised if I come knocking on your door and seeing if someone wants to participate in a project to get that up and running. The other item is the RFP as it relates to the New York State CDBG Micro Enterprise Grant. When we get back to resolutions, I'll talk about that a little bit more. And a couple of other updates for you folks. Marty and I had a lengthy conversation with a representative from NYSEG regarding the natural gas update as it relates to the natural gas franchise. It was great to hear that they had what they described as a very successful phase 1. We have several more phases in the process. Marty and I have been advocating for some educational/informational sessions that we can host here at Town Hall to get other members of our community prepped to better understand what those services include, what the timetable, and what's involved. So more to come, but Marty, did you have any thoughts and opinions as it related to it? I know you worked pretty hard over the years to even get us that franchise.
Yeah, there's no question that I think, it's really important that we have educational sessions. One of the things that we were really fortunate on Cumberland had last year, the number that we got connected out there last year was really due in large measure to the good weather. Had we not had that good weather, we would have had a real problem, because we had any number of people who literally took out their heating systems with the expectation that I'm going to get connected. And at the same time, we had NYSEG leave. I mean, we literally had to go to the Public Service Commission and get the Public Service Commission on their backs to get them to get their crews back in so that we could get everything geared back up the way it had been, so that we could get back at the project. They were effectively of a mindset that, oh, well, we're done, you know, we've accomplished, you know, they hadn't accomplished what their goal was, but they were satisfied with what they'd accomplished. By getting them back in there, we got the kind of accomplishment achieved, which really was what that phase one accomplishment was supposed to be. What we need these educational sessions to do, what we need to be able to do, is to convince people that the time frame is, it gets so compressed if people wait. And what happens is, the amount of time you end up with, there's different players who have to get coordinated, and that's extremely difficult to pull off. You've got to get a contractor who's going to come in and do the work on your facility, plumb the house, put the black iron in the house, get you ready to have natural gas delivered to you. That's one part of the problem. That can be done in the dead of the heat of the summer, because you don't need to have a furnace that's functioning, etc. You know, you can have that done. At another time, NYSEG is gonna come in and they're gonna put, you know, the natural gas line to your house, okay? And then they'll connect everything if you can be inspected and you're set up inside, you know. So all of those things have to be done, and that has, you know, you've also got the idea, you've got to buy your appliances, you've got to get your financing, all of that's got to get done, and it's all got to get coordinated. If you wait, you get caught in the crunch. And believe me, the people, you know, the people who've got the hefty bank account are the people who are going to be the ones that get served. And the people who have to go through a process and go to the bank and get the financing and whatever, they're going to get left at the altar. They're not going to get served at the process. So what we want to try to do is we want to try to get them in and get them to understand how that process is going to work and how they have to work with a number of different players to get themselves ready to be served. And, you know, NYSEG isn't going to do that.
NYSEG gave educational programs at Cumberland Head
They
last
did.
year in front of the project. before
They
it
did.
started. They did 2 of them, maybe 3.
I'm not aware that they did 3 presentations out on Cumberland.
They did 2 at least.
Pardon?
They did 2 at least.
They did 2,
2 different sessions.
yes.
So why won't they do it again?
There is conversation about them continuing to do it. What I think Marty is trying to say is a lot of self-advocating or advocating on behalf of the public went into getting those initial sessions, and that's why we're starting very early to re-engage them in this process to make sure that they continue to stay on board, providing information. And I was very pleased with the conversations that we had with them.
Yes, but I would also comment that I did not, I mean, I would say that the response to the suggestion was one that, oh, well, I'll see if we can get that. I'll see if, you know, if there's an interest, you know, if we can do that. Not a readiness that, you know, that makes a lot of sense and we ought to be doing that or whatever. Okay? We tried to get earlier, we tried to get that done on a broader basis in the town, and we had no interest on the part of NYSEG. They would not give us, for example, on the part where they were going to serve, and that was supposed to happen in 2014, where they were going to serve the people who were already on the line on the mains, and we said, give us those addresses, and we will send out notices from the town, inviting them to come to the town. They had no desire whatsoever to do that.
Whatever came of that, the position that NICEAG was going to create?
They hired it. They hired an individual, he is the official liaison, and he is, his
Good.
name's Mike.
Kennedy.
Yes, and he is the individual that we've been engaged with in some conversations.
So is he reaching out to individuals? Wasn't that the whole point of this position?
He was supposed to be the point of contact.
Yeah, he's serving as,
Right.
the
He
main
is, and that's
liaison.
what, we were feeding individuals to
What's
him.
his name?
Mike Kennedy.
Yeah, we were feeding individuals to him and referring people to him, and he did a good job.
Good,
He really, he came through,
good.
he really did.
So based on the conversation you had, which productive it sounds, what's the next action step? Or did you come to that?
I'll be following up with NICEAG to help get those informational sessions planned. And the reason I'm bringing it to your attention is, with the weather being as nice as it's been over the last several weeks, I already started to receive phone calls from constituents saying, when are they gonna start, building and doing things, and, between frost lines, et cetera. But I communicated that message to NICEAG, and they understand that they need to get ready and gearing up for people to start getting connected.
Okay.
When we talk about frost lines, I mean, I can tell you the frost is out of the ground in my house.
Pussy willows are blooming at my house.
Huh?
Pussy willows are blooming at my house.
The
That's
frost
first
is
thing
out
I
of the
was-
ground.
Yeah. He put
I mean, I drove a spike down into the ground 5 feet,
Good.
on Sunday, and, with a hammer, not a sledgehammer.
Mike,
Just gonna
if I
start
make
phase two
a
now?
comment,
Sure.
if you're gonna be speaking with NICEAG, quite recently it's come to my attention that people in my neighborhood have been trying to get the famous rebate and incentive money and penalty money that was up to 800. And they've had a hell of a time getting it. Nobody's gotten it yet. They've had to jump through 1.5 million hoops, resubmit their papers, take pictures of their old furnaces and yada, yada, yada. And
That's supposed to be this guy's position, was making that easy.
yeah, and that might be something you
Yeah,
want to
no, that's
talk to them
perfect. Appreciate it.
about, because it's been about 3 people, just in the last week, have told me they still, it's been a nightmare for
If
them.
anybody
Have you
has,
got Kennedy's phone number?
I do not.
well, that's what I was gonna say. If you're engaging with anybody, have them call the office, and we're happy to directly get them connected, because that way we can also track, and we can say, Mrs. So-and-so, Mr. So-and-so called our
Yeah,
office,
it's been a nightmare.
and we have given them that contact
And it
information.
shouldn't be.
Yeah.
I know I can sound like, but there is a major disconnect between the PR and the delivery.
Amen.
And there has been from day one.
They didn't wanna do this project to begin with.
No, they didn't. And anybody who was on the
Solution
ground
is
with it.
everyone go solar.
Pardon?
Isn't there a phase 2 supposed to start?
Phase 2 is supposed to start, and that's a good question. See, where I would say, I mean, we had a pleasant meeting with them. I had to bite my tongue because it was very clear that a number of steps that I felt should have been addressed between the end of phase 1 and today, okay, are only now being addressed. They're talking about, well, we have to get some easements, and we have to, and you want to say like, wait a minute,
So maybe you don't.
why the hell hasn't this been done?
Well, there's accountability in that process too, so.
Huh?
There's accountability, so we probably should use that.
But this is, Mike had a great quote, and that was, he said, one of the problems, he says, we have great expectations that have been, created by the good results of phase 1. And we want to make sure we deliver on those great expectations.
Also, there are not an awful lot of contractors out there that do this kind of work. And if you do your own, for example, say that you're qualified to do it, but you're not a general contractor, NICEAG might not pay you the rebates and all of that for putting in your own furnace.
No. And they,
But they don't tell you that.
and they are primarily responsible for the fact that there are so few approved contractors.
So more to come, a general status update, but I appreciate Marty for participating in that meeting. You know, as I said before, you did a lot of work to get us where we are, Marty, and your leadership in that role to keep their feet held to the fire is very much appreciated, so thank you. A couple of updated information. Sorry about that.
One for Dan too?
Yeah. So this right here, do you need one more? Debbie? This right here is a boilerplate MOU. It's for the Shape Up Clinton County, and it's activating the public spaces and creating opportunities for healthy living. We had a presentation a number of weeks ago. To be honest, Mel and I just hadn't had a chance to sit down and have a conversation about hammering out, you know, where Town of Plattsburgh gets plugged in, et cetera, et cetera. So I just wanted to give you, you know, the general itemization of things. We'll need to change potentially one or two things and have council look at it. And then my intention is to have it on the agenda for next week. Okay, so just wanted to make sure to get that out to you folks in advance. So going back to the resolutions.
Is the first word on the second line at the top of that?
It should be activated.
Yeah, it's got, that's why I said it needs, that's why it's not in a form. Mel literally gave it to me and she said, you know, I started kind of looking at populating this, but it needs a little bit more than a, you know, a couple minutes review. I said, that's fine, we don't need to have it today.
Okay.
First resolution, and I would ask for this to be considered this evening, and that is Resolution 1669. Publish a request for proposals RFP intended for the administrative services of the 2015 Micro Enterprise Grant. And Ricky, I'd ask if you'd read that.
Whereas the town of Plattsburgh has received the 2015 CDBG Micro Enterprise Grant from New York State Homes and Community Renewal, and is desirous consultant services to administer and deliver the project. Whereas the town of Plattsburgh is seeking proposal from qualified firms to provide administrative advisory and program delivery services in connection with the 2015 CDBG Micro Enterprise Grant Program. Whereas bidders should be familiar with the New York State CDBG program and regulations relative to administering financial management, environmental review, and economic development. And whereas the town of Plattsburgh will rank the purpose received on evaluation, technical skills, experience, and reference information. Minority and women-owned Section 3 businesses are encouraged to submit proposals. The town of Plattsburgh reserves the right to reject any and all proposal and to conduct interviews as its sole discretion. Response may be to receive at the town of Plattsburgh by 3 p.m. April 7, 2016. Additional information regarding this report for proposals may be obtained by calling the town clerk at 562-6832 or the finance manager at 562-6839 during the business hours Monday through Friday. Therefore be resolved that the town board, town of Plattsburgh, does hereby authorize the supervisor to solicit and receive informal bids proposal from consulting services to administer and deliver the 2016 CDBG Micro Enterprise Grant, and that the town clerk publish a notice in the Press Republican and post on the town's website. And it be further resolved that a copy of this resolution be given to the finance manager and to the town clerk.
I would entertain a motion. I would entertain a second.
Second.
Hebert. Discussion.
So Mike, based on the information presented,
Yeah.
April 7th is a reasonable deadline based on previous qualified?
Yes, there's approximately, I think it's like 3 to 5 folks that have typically put forth, applications with this. And this to me is a pretty standard boilerplate opportunity for people to respond as it relates to the telecommunications one. That is one that I would imagine that would be much more complicated, and we would extend the period of time. And just again for reference to, on the internal portion of this, Pat and I will be working on this. So this is about some of the educational information sessions. We'll be working in conjunction with whoever's hired. And as Pat and I go through this process, it's a learning opportunity. So if we ever move forward with the microenterprise grant, we'll have a better grasp of the administrative handlings of this. So, all right.
So what specifically are you looking for?
Let me see if I have it
It's attached to it.
on me. Yeah, it was attached to the, so the scope of the work.
Oh, that goes with this?
Yes, yep. Anything else? All right, roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Mark Mannix,
Yes.
Mike LaFave,
Yes.
Barb Hebert,
Yes.
Mike Cash.
Yes, carries. All right, thank you very much. All right, so going from here, other draft resolutions include the minutes. If there's anything in there, monthly reports. And thank you to Barb for making the note. We are still trying to standardize some monthly reports with some folks. Barney Bassett seems to have made it on the masthead of one of the reports. He's not here anymore, I promise. He's not even the greeter. And then in addition to that, we go forward into the travel for the water conference. Next slotted resolution is a request to advertise for sealed bids for base sewer lining phase 4. And then in addition to that is the base sewer lining capital project. Any questions on either of those?
Right, just because of my role being new,
Yep.
can somebody give us some history on the base sewer line? This is phase 4, 5 phases. Is anybody on council familiar?
Someone from the water committee want to
Yeah.
answer that?
Can help me out with this?
Marty, I feel like you maybe could explain it better. You've been around longer. I can
You think?
I could stumble through it and bumble and I probably make a few mistakes, but
I would appreciate it.
Marty, if you can tell her.
That's education.
Give me a second.
Okay,
Let me
got
take
it.
a-
They
Has to be done within 1 minute.
They're all-
You want the encapsulated version.
Yeah. I'm all right.
The question is, what are the phases?
No, I want to get a little history about the.
Looking for the history on why we're doing these projects.
Yeah.
Oh, the history of the project.
Yeah, I got it.
That I can
I was
handle.
on the
That I
committee
can
for a
handle.
while.
Give me the encapsulated version.
When the town took over the sewer lines on the base,
Okay.
one of the things that didn't happen was that the sewer lines were not repaired. They were not inspected and repaired as was done with other infrastructure, if you will. Consequently, we're faced with going through now and lining the sewer lines with a fabric. And we do that in order to to control the amount of infiltration that happens into those sewer lines from groundwater. And the reason you want to do that is if you don't control that, you end up having to process that water. It ends up in your sewer line, it goes down and ultimately connects into the main that goes to the city, and the city charges to treat that because it's viewed as part of your sewer effluent. We've done 3 phases, and we have been able to significantly reduce the infiltration that's gotten into the sewer lines in those 3 phases. Now we're looking at phase 4 to go through. The capital project, my opinion, if we had the engineer here, they could do a much better job of this, but the capital project, in my opinion, is the the first part of the project is the purchase of the material that will go into those sewer lines, the fabric that will go into those sewer lines. The second part of it is the request for the sealed bids on the project, and that's the labor that will go into the project. So that's why I think you've got 2 different bids here.
And there was so much, and it was crumbling so much that they looked into whether they were gonna replace them all. And that was very expensive, but they came up with a new kind of fabric, as he said, a slip lining, and they could send it right down in. And because we got the camel, we could check in to see where it was collapsed or something. If they had to dig up anything, they could do it in those spots. The same thing is for the stormwater runoff. Those are deteriorated on the base as well. We didn't get a very good system, let's put it that way, when they took it over.
Can't slip line the storm
And,
water though.
yeah, so
It's huge.
they did the straight lines first. That was easy to do, it was a long one, and they could do it. And then we're doing the side ones and the others as we go along. We're also, I think, dropping one of the pump stations. One of the,
Well, by doing these, we're by reducing the amount of infiltration, the amount of effluent that we have to handle, we're going to be able to reduce these pump stations that we have.
Thank you, yeah,
And the
appreciate that.
county also did some as well.
Okay. Yeah, I caught it this week. Okay.
And I think the linings are good for like 90 years or something. It's a really long time.
It would be around a Challenger phone. Good for 180 years.
well, let's hope.
Stay with me, folks.
Yeah.
All right, the next resolution is a 3% site plan return deposit for the Route 3 development. That's
You've got the sign off from the planning and everything on that?
it's become pretty standard at this point. The other item that I just want to present to you, and this will again go before the water committee, before it comes, that's what I wanted to get it in draft for consideration for people to stay on track. A little bit better. This is for the appointment of Bruce Barber as an automotive mechanic in the water department. As I said before, the water committee will have an opportunity to connect with Scott on it and go over some of the transition and stuff. As many of you know, he's currently in the highway department. This would be a change from one department to another. He would stay within the town of Plattsburgh family, as they say. So,
Is there more mechanics or?
currently the highway department really doesn't have a mechanic, and what Scott is looking to do is to utilize him in a bunch of different capacities with the skill sets that he has, with some fleet management over in the water department, but also some of the, say lift stations, pumps, etc. So, yeah.
So there's no opening? There was an opening?
There was an opportunity that he had some stuff on the books and Scott is putting it forward. But I'm gonna be looking for a recommendation from the water committee next Monday, when this resolution comes up for, support one way or the other.
So is highway losing?
He would lose Bruce, but he won't lose the line though, no. Jim was involved in some conversations along the way about this opportunity for Bruce, so, and Jim supported, Bruce taking advantage of an opportunity, so, which I admire, so. All right. Before we close this meeting, I would like to entertain a motion to go into executive session this evening.
Well, I don't know, do we really wanna do that, you know?
Is there a motion that's presented to the floor?
Do we have a reason to go into executive?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session to discuss collective bargaining negotiations and employment history of a particular person.
Okay,
That's under the Taylor law, I take it.
yes. Yep,
And I'll second that.
Mr. Mannix. Yeah, it's for unionists only.
Exactly.
Yep. We'll go into executive session at 7:46. I do anticipate this taking a little while, so Rick, you're more than welcome to stay or go home, all right?